Vaughn, what are we hearing from both campaigns this morning about how they're feeling?
Anna, campaign sources are telling our NBC News team that Joe Biden is not leaving this race, insisting that one debate performance is not going to dictate the result of the November election, that there are still more than 4 months to go and plenty of time, in that it's ultimately Donald Trump's words that ultimately matter. I was talking to Gavin Newsom last night, the California governor, when I asked him whether he would urge the current president to step aside from this bid for a second term, and he said no. And at least publicly, that is what other top Democrats are saying. But behind the scenes, there is consternation within this Democratic Party about that 90-minute performance from President Biden. On the other side, you have Donald Trump and his campaign team, his advisors hanging out long after the debate's conclusion yesterday, while Joe Biden's team quickly and promptly left the arena where the spin room was held there. His one campaign advisor, Chris LaCivita, telling me this was the worst thing to happen to the Biden administration since the Afghanistan withdrawal, suggesting that they believe that they can expand the map and that this is exactly what they needed. Millions of Americans to watch the debate performance of these two men standing toe to toe. I want to let you listen, though, to Joe Biden last night upon leaving the debate hall, in which he made a quick stop just down the road. Take a listen.
Mr. President, how did you perform tonight?
I think we did well.
Your voice, your performance tonight. Do you have any concerns about your performance?
No, it's hard to debate a liar.
And like Newsom told me, he urged folks to actually look at the message and the words that came out of the debate there last night. Donald Trump, so much of what he said, the falsehoods, the lies, the misrepresentations, were clouded by a debate performance that disappointed a great many Democrats or individuals, independents, Republicans reticent to another Trump administration. Anna.
Vaughn Hilliard, thank you for bringing us the latest. So, Amy, one publication framed it this way. Trump didn't win, but Biden lost. And it seemed to start really right out of the gate with this moment.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
That was tough to watch. What are you hearing from your Democratic sources this morning about that performance?
I mean, my phone was blowing up last night, Anna, in a way that I have never seen before, dating back to 2016 and the night that Hillary Clinton lost. Democrats were in panic mode, and this isn't your typical bedwetting, I should say. And people have stressed that to me. I was hearing from people who normally are talking up the talking points. They're saying Biden is the best thing ever. They are really concerned this morning. This is not, your typical, this is a nightmare for Democrats story. This is a real nightmare for Democrats. They feel it. There are conversations going on. Biden, of course, and his allies will say publicly that he's not going to get out of the race. But when you're talking to people, they're worried. And if things start to change, if poll numbers start to move, if Donald Trump gets, moves the margin of error and down ballot candidates start to suffer, you're going to see a lot of movement starting.
Basil, can Biden recover from this? How do you recover from this?
Well, listen, it wasn't a good performance. It's a bad performance. There's no sugarcoating that. But I think the issue of why there's panic is because there's a real understanding of what's at stake. And the stakes that were in place 24 hours ago are still the stakes this morning. I would say, and I have said, that everything that Joe Biden says might have been good, but perhaps he's not the best messenger for it. So if I'm a Democrat right now, well, I am a Democrat, but if I was looking at the party right now, if I were advising the party right now, look, this is not the time to panic because all of the questions about do you get him out and so on. If he doesn't want to leave, getting him out is incredibly messy. And that's not something that the party can afford 4 months before an election. So what do? You find better messengers for that message that Democrats have been putting on the table for the last 4 or 8 years. Gavin Newsom, who Vaughn Hilliard mentioned, governor of Maryland, Maryland, Wes Moore, Governor Whitmer of Michigan. There are Democrats around the country that can actually deliver that message and bring it home for the party, but also for that sliver of independent voters that need to be reminded that everything Donald Trump said on that stage was a bull-faced lie.
And let's talk about that, because that's right. Not everything was all gravy for Donald Trump out there. One of the more jarring moments that he had was when he pretty much upended the truth of January 6th. Take a look at this.
And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people.
Susan, we know so much of what we just heard there is not true. And yet, time after time in answering questions, he spouted falsehoods and mistruths. You could call them lies, unchecked. I mean, what was your reaction to that?
There were so many lost opportunities for President Biden. And I actually think he was probably really well prepared, but he was almost over-prepared. He had too much information as
President Biden, you're thinking.
I'm sorry, President Biden, excuse me. I think he just couldn't deliver the lines. And that goes to the underlying problem of his age, which he was supposed to show the American public last night that he could be ready for another 4 years and lead this country. And what is very concerning going forward from this debate for President Biden is that there's a narrative now built in. It started with his age, and that built in. Now the narrative is going to be for at least 5 or 6 days, should he step out of the race.
But does Trump just get a free pass for the lies?
Trump is going to get a free pass for the lies for no other reason than the Biden story is bigger. Trump didn't blow up. He didn't set himself on fire. He lied. Everyone knows he lied. So for that small sliver, they're in a really hard spot right now, especially those independents who lean right. They really weren't thrilled with Joe Biden to begin with, but they voted country over party. Now they're just freaked out about the status of their country.
Amy.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.